Saudi panics over Hormuz closure for the second time in 48 hours. Scrambles to appease Iran before Trump makes a move. As Trump eyes a restart of Project Freedom in the Strait. Saudi Arabia's foreign minister dials Iran's Abbas Araghchi. Saudi appears to warm up to Iran after reportedly saying no to hosting Trump's warplanes. Is the kingdom quietly edging away from Washington's war plan? Riyadh cries foul as reports link Trump's new Hormuz mission to Saudi territory. Is the Gulf heavyweight now caught between U.S. pressure and fear of Iranian retaliation? Iran's foreign minister said he held a phone call with his Saudi counterpart on May 11th to review the situation between the two countries. According to Iran, the two ministers discussed the latest developments related to ongoing Iran-U.S. diplomatic efforts and attempts to revive talks. The call came as Saudi Arabia publicly denied that it had opened its airspace for any possible U.S. military action or aggression against Iran. A Saudi official reportedly dismissed circulating media claims on this issue, describing the reports as misleading. A Saudi official said, and I quote, "The kingdom did not allow the use of its airspace to support offensive military operations. There are parties trying to give a misleading image of Saudi Arabia's position for suspicious reasons," unquote. Riyadh instead emphasized that it supports de-escalation efforts and is backing Pakistan's diplomatic mediation between Washington and Tehran. Saudi officials stressed that the kingdom has never permitted U.S. operations targeting Iran to be launched through Saudi airspace. These denials came even as other reports alleged that Saudi Arabia and Kuwait had relaxed restrictions on U.S. access to their military bases. U.S. officials told the Wall Street Journal that Washington is now actively considering restarting Project Freedom, examining how to resume the efforts without triggering fresh friction with Gulf partners. Pentagon officials indicated the operation could resume as early as this week, pending coordination with Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and other Gulf allies on flight paths and security arrangements. The operation depends heavily on access to Saudi and Kuwaiti territory, airspace, and military infrastructure, including radar coverage, refueling support, and overland transit corridors. The development comes just days after Riyadh briefly limited cooperation over Project Freedom, marking a sharp but short-lived pullback in the long-standing security relationship. The dispute exposed one of the most serious strains between Washington and Riyadh in recent years, highlighting differing risk tolerances in the evolving Gulf crisis. Riyadh was alarmed by a series of targeted attacks on shipping routes and oil infrastructure in the United Arab Emirates, which raised doubts about the reliability of U.S. protection. Gulf leaders also grew uneasy after U.S. officials described Iran's attacks as low-level harassment, a framing they felt downplayed the real-world economic and security impact. Saudi leadership feared Washington was underestimating the seriousness of the threat, particularly in the context of global energy flows and regional stability. The rising tensions triggered urgent calls between Donald Trump and Mohammed bin Salman, as both sides tried to restore working alignment behind the scenes. Saudi officials said MBS directly informed Trump about restricting U.S. military access to bases and airspace, using the move as leverage to force a pause in the initiative. According to officials, Trump agreed to pause the project after consultations with Gulf leaders and regional mediators, seeking to rebuild trust before resuming the operation. The temporary pause lasted only after Project Freedom had been in operation for about 36 hours, underscoring both the ambition and the fragility of the plan. Washington is now reassessing how to restart the mission in a way that reassures Gulf partners while avoiding steps that could trigger a wider military escalation in the Strait of Hormuz.
We'll go a different route if everything gets to get signed up and buttoned up. We were asked not to do that by Pakistan, who's our friend, and didn't want the Prime Minister to deal market. But I think Project Freedom is good, but I think we have other ways of doing it also. We may go back to Project Freedom if things don't happen, but should it be Project Freedom Plus, meaning Project Freedom Plus other?
The dispute reportedly began after Trump unexpectedly announced the operation on Truth Social, bypassing the usual back-channel consultations with Gulf partners. Saudi leadership was reportedly angered by the public announcement and the lack of prior coordination, feeling it risked drawing the kingdom deeper into the U.S.-Iran standoff. In response, the kingdom informed Washington that U.S. aircraft could no longer fly from Prince Sultan Air Base, a key hub for regional operations. The restriction created an immediate operational crisis for the Pentagon, which had relied on Saudi facilities to stage airlifts, surveillance, and command assets. Even a direct phone call between Trump and Mohammed bin Salman reportedly failed to resolve the issue, underscoring the depth of the disagreement. The move looks like Riyadh's effort to avoid being dragged into another open-use Iran clash, while still preserving its broader security ties with Washington. Meanwhile, as Saudi Arabia denied opening its airspace, Donald Trump was already hinting at restarting Project Freedom.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry guards.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the U.S. topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry guards.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the U.S. topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.